At Just Peoples, we scour communities across Africa and Asia to find exceptional grassroots change makers, so local leaders who have founded and lead organisations tackling poverty in their local communities. And we support them by amplifying their voices, trying to provide various platforms such as this one for them to connect with a global supporter base. Then enable people from all around the world the opportunity to make tax-deductible donations through Just Peoples that land straight in the hands of these wonderful people so that they can use the funding to design culturally grounded, dignified and cost-effective solutions to poverty. So today you'll hear from 4 of the amazing leaders who we are advocates for. First up, we're going to have Patience Kembo. We're then going to meet Grace Ongonya, Florence Namaganda, and Charles Godfrey. And I'll give them proper introductions as we go. I'm Johanna de Verka, and I'm one of the co-founders of Just Peoples, and I'm a raging advocate of locally led development. Every day I feel really privileged to get to work with brilliant leaders like Patience, Charles, Florence and Grace, and I feel equally privileged to stand alongside generous people like yourselves who choose to live your values through giving. So thank you all for being part of this community. It's wonderful. Each leader today is going to speak for 5 minutes and then take a couple of questions. I'm very honoured to introduce you to Patience Kembo, the founder and executive director of Ladder to Learning in Lilongwe, Malawi. After graduating from university, Patience was inspired by the quality education that she was lucky enough to receive and founded Ladder to Learning to share that gift with children in underserved communities in Malawi. She believes every child deserves the same chance to learn and thrive, and she has been turning that belief into action ever since. Under Patience's leadership, Ladder to Learning runs programs focused on boosting literacy in public primary schools, from remedial reading initiative that helps struggling students catch up to community-run literacy hubs that extend learning beyond the classroom. Now, in partnership with government agencies, she's working to scale the successful model across Malawi. Patience's passion and dedication are transforming communities, and we're so honoured to have you here with us today, Patience, to share your journey.
Thank you so much.
Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's morning over in Lilongwe, Malawi. I'm Patience Kembo from Ladder to Learning, and just here to share with you a little bit about Ladder to Learning and what we do. So we started 10 years ago as a volunteer initiative. This was at a time when I had just finished college and I was looking for the next thing to do. And being very cognizant of the privilege that I'd had of having gone to good schools. I went to some of the best schools in the country, some international schools, and I realized at a very young age that a lot of my peers, a lot of children did not have the experience that I had, the resources that I had, especially those that were in public primary schools. And so when I finished college, I wanted to do something with purpose and something that could give back to my community and that could contribute to education. And not knowing where to start or how to do it, I told my friends that I wanted to work with children and give them an experience much like my own. And just to share a little bit about that is I had gone to schools, and one school in particular that saw me as an individual, saw me as a unique young lady, and kind of nurtured the creativity and leadership skills in me. And that was the beginning of the fueling of my passion for community work, to want to do the same for others, because I was cognizant of the disparity that is there in Malawi, especially for children that come from low income families. And sharing that with my friends again and not knowing where to start, I went to the school that was closest to my house, which is a public school, and just told the head teacher that I have a group of friends and we want to volunteer and help with whatever it is that you have need. You tell us and we'll do what we can. And the problem that was shared with us was that a lot of children were falling behind in their reading. They were not able to read, and the teachers were overwhelmed. Just to give a little bit of the context, in our schools, public schools in Malawi, we have a 70-to-1 ratio. So there'll be 70 learners against one teacher. Um, if you look at the stats, but in our partner school, it's worse. You have a teacher with as many as 100 learners versus one teacher. And the teachers were overwhelmed, and the head teacher said, we have a lot of our learners that need help reading. If you guys could help us teach them how to read, it would be most helpful. And I think at that moment, we felt very useful because this was a problem that was shared with us, and this was something that we could try to help with. And getting into the classroom, I was actually surprised because I live in the middle of town and this school is in the middle of town. It's a public school, but I was surprised to find that the classroom had no desks. The children were sitting on the floor. It was a time like this in June and it was cold. And the children are sitting on the floor. There are holes in the floor. The windows have no glass. There's some holes in the roofing as well. Just way worse than we'd imagined it when we're going into the school. And so with that, as we were teaching day by day, trying to help these learners learn how to read, I asked the head teacher, if we could also fundraise for desks. Again, doing this, not really knowing to what end or how we're going to do it, but just really believing that we could ask people around to help. And we were able to raise money for desks. And that was really the genesis of what organically grew into Ladder to Learning today. We would spot a problem at the school and ask what we could do to help. And one other thing that we did was we found out the school had donated computers that were not in use. And so we got in and asked if we could help to teach the teachers how to learn computers. And so that is how our organization has grown from a volunteer initiative into a fully fledged organization that is working closely with community leaders through volunteers to provide educational services. We do provide two forms of services. Remedial reading, we have a remedial reading program, which I have shared about. So here we offer after school lessons, reading lessons to learners that are struggling in class. And we use what is called the teaching at the right level approach, which groups learners according to their reading level, not according to their age or class, but the level at which they're able to read. And so our volunteers help them with their reading every day after school until they reach story level. This program has an improvement rate of 80%, meaning that learners that enroll in our program, 80% of them are able to read simple stories by the end of the academic year. And to couple that, we have what we call literacy hubs. These are spaces that we set up in schools in order to give the learners access to resources. Resources such as books, stationery, tech gadgets, and these literacy hubs are accessible to all learners at the school. We're currently in 16 schools in Lilongwe, serving over 45,000 learners. And it has been quite a journey, a 10-year journey, but we are happy with the progress that we've made and just the bond that we have with our communities. We work very closely with chiefs, school management leaders, the government, and also our funding partners. That's the work that we do at Latitude Learning, and very privileged to be here to share this journey with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patience. I love all your pictures. It really brought your work to life. And your work is very close to my heart. Just last night, I went in to say goodnight to my daughter, and for the first time ever, she was sitting up in bed, like reading to herself out loud. She was reading like a sort of comic chapter book kind of thing, and sort of laughing her head off. And I just thought, she's really just cracked it now. She's just cracked reading, and it's just such an exciting stage for kids to go through. And I can't even imagine them trying to learn to read, with 70 to 100 kids in the class and with maybe parents that don't know how to read themselves. So how much kind of intensive one-on-one stuff really helps. So I just think your work is so wonderful and so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. For a bit of context on if anyone is interested in supporting Patience's work, the current things that she is looking at funding is they're looking at getting a motorbike to be used by the programs team for partner school visits so they can get there nice and quickly. They're also looking for contributions towards furniture for a brand new literacy hub that they're establishing. And that's currently under construction. And also Patience shared that they are rolling out literacy hubs in new communities throughout Malawi. So now that they've sort of spent this 10 years like refining their model and getting it ready to go, they're ready to now start rolling that out in new communities. So that's a really exciting initiative to be able to support a whole community as well. I'd love to ask if anybody has any questions for Patience. We've got time for one or two questions.
I've got one. Sorry, I might have missed in my transition, but what sort of ages are you aiming at? Like what sort of ages do you start when you go in to, help the kids read, or is it broad? Because you did talk about matching the reading level with the books rather than the age, but when do you sort of start looking at getting the reading program into schools? At what sort of age?
Thank you, Steve. So at present, we focus on ages 7 to 14, which is really the primary school age, but then also the ages of the learners in the classrooms vary. We have some older kids in lower classes, but our typical age range is 7 to 14. We start we start giving lessons for learners that are in grade 3. So they're about 7, 8, or 9 years old, up until grade 5, so that we give room for them to have time to sort of practice their reading when they're transitioning on to the other grades. So our grading system starts from grade 1 to grade 8. So we anticipate that when a learner finishes the program in grade 3, 4, or 5, then they also have at least 2 or so years to practice. And our hope is that they make it to grade 8 and then transition to secondary school.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, when you said you matched the readers with their ability rather than their age, my first response was hallelujah, because we have, over here in Australia, it's more like if you're in grade 3, you should be reading this book, and it's a lot of kids struggle because they're being pushed at a level that they're not quite ready for, instead of, taking the time and working their way through based on ability. So yeah, it warmed my heart to hear you say that.
Me too, Steve. Absolutely. I think it's really discouraging for kids if they're not up to the level that's prescribed for their age group. So I think that, yeah, it's just wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Mia.
And then you miss one of life's great joys.
Exactly.
Thank you. And thank you, Patience. That was a very interesting presentation. I'm very impressed by your work. I'm sitting wondering, as you try and expand to more schools across Malawi, what are sort of some of the biggest barriers you encounter to expand your network further and let more children benefit from your good efforts?
Thank you, Mia. One of the challenges that we have has been the resources. Setting up the hub is quite pricey because we mostly look for existing infrastructure, maybe like small space that we can make use of. But then many schools do not have that. But we realize that the resources are quite a significant part of kind of bringing the learners that experience. So that's what we've been trying to sort of reach out for help for from funding partners and government. Like, how do we work together to kind of bring that in the schools? And that's partly why we work with government, and we're trying to kind of have that bond and MOU with the government so that we're working together towards bringing these resources. The other challenge also is human capacity, because we have only a number of volunteers that we're able to bring together and support. And again, we're working with government to sort of discuss how do we leverage the teachers that are already in the schools to kind of bring more impact, because we have a lot of demand from parents to say, I really want my child to be in your program. So we're just navigating those dynamics as well. So those are two of our biggest challenges that we face.
Right. And the school managements, are they always like supportive when you approach them to set up a network?
Yes. I think that has been sort of like our backbone, the support of the school management, because so we have what we call community building sessions, where we explain where we're coming from and our passion, and that we are part of the community. And so I think it's been very easy to work with the school. They really do support us in terms of like providing even the classroom space, providing the teacher support. They're overwhelmed as well, and they don't have the resources, but they have the people, like even in the communities, including the chiefs. So what we also do is we recruit our volunteers from the communities. So they've also been instrumental in kind of identifying some of the young people that we can work with, so that this is more community owned, as opposed to working with people that are not from the community. So they've been very supportive.
Very useful. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Patience, and thank you, Mia, for your questions. We are going to say goodbye just for now to Patience, but as mentioned, we will be staying on for a little bit after the end of the hour in case anyone wants to chat with Patience further. Thank you so much, Patience. You are wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we are going to Asembo in Kenya. Christy and I first met Grace on a visit to East Africa 2 years ago. Grace grew up in a fishing village in Kenya and is the founder of the vocational training centre Asembo Skills for Hope that we are going to visit next month. It's very, very exciting. A lot of people on this call are coming with us, so we can't wait to have you guys all there. And we were so inspired by Grace's vision, progress, and the robust model that she's developed, which goes far beyond just the vocational training and offers a comprehensive approach to women's empowerment, addressing not only the economic independence, but also mental health, emotional well-being, and social inclusion. So I will hand over to Grace now.
Thank you, Jo. Good morning, everyone. It's super morning here in Kenya. I am Grace, founder and executive director of Asembo Skills. I grew up in the fishing town, Lake Victoria, and growing up in this community, I saw so many of my friends and my classmates go through first-hand experience of early marriages, early pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, and poverty. And I promised myself that I will leave this community and make something of myself. So I moved to Rwanda, which is also in East Africa, and I worked there as a teacher for 8 years. Every summer, whenever I was home, I came back, and my friends who are now young mothers were still going through these same problems. The difference is now they were young mothers going through so much. They didn't take care of only themselves, but also their children. And I imagine a society where every woman has the opportunity to break through the constraints of limited education and societal barriers, and where they have the opportunity to not have to deal with forced marriages and poverty, and they're able to reach their full potential. And that's why in 2020, I started December Skills for Hope. I started December Skills to provide an opportunity for these women to gain skills, to earn independent living, to be able to support themselves and their children, and to break the cycle of poverty. So every year we take in 30 women in our skills academy, and they learn different vocational skills, entrepreneurship skills, and life skills. And when they graduate, we transition into our graduate success program. When we graduate, we always say this is the beginning of our support, because gaining of the skill alone is not enough. They also have to be mentored, provide personalized coaching to be able to run and expand their businesses to become successful women. We also have well-being support, where we provide counseling, we provide confidence building, learning and access to family planning, sexual and reproductive health in conjunction with the hospitals. We provide cancer screening, and we provide a space where the women are able to share their challenges and understand that we are in this together. So we have a really robust M&E program, and we are proud that we've always had 100% graduation rate, and we've seen a growth of the women moving from $6 before they started the program, $6 in a month. It's not a joke, to $75 in a month in independent income. When you talk about that in an African context, in the village context, that's a lot of money that she's getting by herself. And the goal is even to get it higher. We've also seen the women now starting to purposefully save, put some money aside for any emergencies. They're now able to make sure that 100% of their children are in school. And we've seen a 90% reduction in levels of violence, be it physical violence or emotional violence. So we've also seen women take chance. They're having agency, they're having that confidence, they're able to share their opinions, they're able to take up roles in the community, and they're able to be role models to their kids. And so that's why we do not want to stop. We do not want to stop until every woman in the community is empowered. At the moment, we are building our first Skills Academy campus, and this will allow us not only to support 30 women, but we'll also be able to support up to 80 women in a year. We'll also be able to add some of the needed skills in the community, like building and construction, in terms of tiling, in terms of painting. We'll look into electricity, we'll look into plumbing. The goal is we are giving the women the support that they need to become economically independent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. When Grace says that she has a robust monitoring and evaluation program, she's not joking. Like, I've worked with some like big NGOs, and I think that Grace's is one of the best and most useful that I've actually seen. It's so grounded in what matters to the women that Grace works with, and every interview they have with the women, they're collecting this data and finding out, you know, what changes the game for them. Do they need some support in terms of their relationships, as their relationships with their husbands change because they're starting to earn more money, or what do they need support with, and how, you know, can they be supported as a whole woman to thrive? And yeah, it's really second to none. And Grace, very similar to Patience, actually, it's taken, you know, some really careful time to really listen and refine her model. And now I've paused on this image because it's so exciting to see and hear Grace's vision come to life of taking this program, which is supporting like 30 women a year, and then scaling it up with this new campus that I've designed. And I think you're almost there through phase 1 of construction. Is that right? Is that right, Grace? Yeah. And you're just going to be able to take on so many new women. You're going to be able to take on different skills. I think the next skill, I don't know if you mentioned, is getting women skilled up in construction as well. And so actually, I'm quite excited because there's a few of you on the call who've already supported Grace's work. So I'm just so happy that you got to hear her presentation today and you got to not just listen to me rant and rave about Grace, but to actually see her for yourself. And some of you will get the opportunity to actually come and visit the campus being built next month, which is really exciting too. So thank you so much, Grace. Does anyone have a question for Grace?
Well, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to meeting you, and I love the borders on your dress.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Well, are we going to get the opportunity, Grace, to maybe buy some clothes that some of the women, yeah? Woo! Exciting. Well, there you go. There you go, Fiona. We can do some shopping next month. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so next on the bill is Ugandan powerhouse Florence Namaganda. Florence is the founder and director of Mukisa Foundation, an organisation that's worked with over 4,000 children living with disabilities and their families in Uganda. So Uganda is a country where culturally children with disabilities historically have been hidden away from society. And Florence has made it her life's purpose to create an inclusive society in Uganda, which includes children living with disabilities in everyday activities in the education system and ensures that they and their families get the holistic treatment that they need to survive and to thrive. I had the immense privilege of visiting the Mukisa Foundation a couple of years ago and being a fly on the wall at one of their community events, which was actually run for fathers of children living with disabilities and really helping them to access the support they need. And I actually think, well, I mean, Florence can speak better to this, but it felt from being there that actually the biggest support was just meeting other fathers that are going through the same challenges and discussing together and having that sense of community. So the work that Florence does is just so powerful, and I will be quiet now and let Florence tell you more.
Thank you very much. Good morning from Uganda, Kampala. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you all who are here on this call today. My name is Florence Namaganda. I'm a neuropediatric therapist by training, but I started out as a general physiotherapist. So my first day of physio school is when I saw children with disabilities at different levels of disability. And for me, just like many others I have met along the way, there's this sense in Uganda, especially if you have never seen children with profound disabilities, you're not sure whether to look or to walk away or to help or to ask questions. And that was me then. So when I learned some bit of therapy and I learned that could be useful, I started going to the department and asking questions. And as Joe said, I noticed that the medical workers knew conditions like cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. They had the names for these conditions, but the parents felt that they are bewitched. This is punishment for sin, and all this stigma and shame and blame that was associated with disability was stopping parents from seeking help. So I set out on a journey 19 years ago after my training to create something that would enable parents not just access quality services, but also form kind of community around them that would help support them and help them lose the shame and get a right mindset around disability, kind of give them agency so that they could be able to solve their challenges. And so I started out because I had no resources, I started a home-based care program with 8 children where I would visit them in their homes. A year later, we got our first grant where we rented our first center. And now we have 5 locations across, and we work in our own locations, the 5, but we also work in partnerships across 9 districts. And we hope that we can go to many more districts as we scale our work. And Yes, our work is very holistic and into me. One of my amazing children, I call her my child because she started with us when she was 3. So she has been in our program and she's now one of our team members to explain a bit more about our program.
Get this email that some call me the CEO. I'm a second year student at a prestigious university in Uganda. I'm the eldest of 3. During the day, before evening classes, I serve as an administrative intern at Mukisa Foundation. Let me take you back how it's all began. This is the catch-up class where I would come to after my therapy. Many children with disabilities receive support through this organization, preparing them for a next step in life, whether vocational or mainstream education. But for me, it was mainstream education. I was born healthy. But a few months later, I fell ill and received injections that led to complications. Doctors recommended me multiple surgeries on my bones, causing developmental delays. The therapy sessions at Mukisa Foundation gave me hope. After therapy, I joined catch-up class. Here I learned how to read, write, play, and to interact with other children. This is where I began to believe in yourselves, which is why I still come back whenever I can to support the class that was supported me. The Mukisa hand did end with me. My mother joined the social empowerment program where she received training and a small grant to set a business. Today, I am a second-year law student. I want to become a lawyer, not just for myself, but for others like me. I want to be the voice for people with disabilities. I want to fight for their rights. I am empowered and I am becoming what I was meant to do.
Wow.
Oh, my face hurts. I've watched that video a few times this morning, but it just makes me smile so much. I don't think there can be, anything more of a... Oh, sorry, Florence, you're on mute.
Okay. So after Tracy, our budding CEO has spoken. I don't think I should say anything after that. But yeah, our goal is not just for Uganda, but the whole of Africa. We would like to make sure that because the problems we see in Uganda are the same that are all around Africa regarding disabilities, and we have a big vision to make sure that our 360 model, which is a holistic care model that includes health, education, family empowerment, advocacy, and awareness, can be rolled out all over Africa so that children can live to their potential. Thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Florence. And that's really what struck us when we first met Florence, was her vision. And the more you get to chat to Florence and get to know her, the more things you learn about the incredible work that she's doing and how wide-reaching it is. And I think you're collaborating with about 50 other organizations across Africa and heading up that collaboration. So really, we've actually got a podcast interviewing Florence, and I do recommend I'll send the link out to that in case anyone wants to hear more about this wonderful woman, because 5 minutes, it's not enough to do you justice. If you're interested in supporting Florence, obviously with children living with disabilities, their needs are different, and it can be often about the depth of impact rather than the number of children that get impacted. So on a case-by-case basis, things are different, but there are some standard things that you're able to support if you're interested in supporting Florence's work. And that's an intensive nutrition program for children that are malnourished, and also a medication program for those children that have need continual medication for things like epilepsy and other chronic conditions. As part of Florence's big vision, she's also working on a really big project to set up a surgical wing. So a lot of disabilities in Uganda and across Africa are happening during birth. And so they are going straight to the source and looking to have a surgical wing, which will have a theatre and inpatient rooms for C-sections for women who are giving birth, and also performing corrective surgeries for the beautiful children in Florence's community. So we have time for one question from Florence, if anyone's got anything they'd like to ask Florence.
Can I ask a question, Jo?
Of course you can. Yes, Sarah.
Florence. I was interested to hear you say in your presentation, and I've actually heard you present before, that there's obviously some terrible stigmas that are attached to these children with disabilities. Is that starting to change with your work? Do you run programs to sort of change community views around that as well?
Yes, yes. In our advocacy and awareness programs, we have trainings, we have community engagements, which help to prevent stigma. But one of the biggest, with partnerships from the other organizations that we work with, we run a nationwide awareness day, and the biggest one is in Kampala. So it's happening July 11th, where our children are all on the streets of Kampala. They march, and like everybody gets to see them. So the parents who are hiding their children can see the children on the streets having so much fun, and then they'll bring them out. So it's kind of helping people to understand that these children exist, but also they deserve to live dignified lives. And if you do especially early intervention and provide services around them, they can also lead productive lives. So we do, yes, a lot of awareness and advocacy. It starts from community all the way to government. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Florence, and thank you for your question, Sarah. We now are traveling down south to Tanzania, and we are going to be hearing from the wonderful Charles Godfrey, who is the Executive Director of, let me spotlight Charles and his big, beautiful smile. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Jo. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Actually, Charles is the whole reason that we decided to have this event like right now, because Charles is the only one of our partners that isn't able to join us in Nairobi next month and to meet those of you that are traveling over. So we're like, this can't happen. Everybody needs to meet Charles. So here we are. We're meeting Charles. Charles is the Executive Director of Simba's Footprints Foundation in Kilimanjaro region of Tanzania. He's been the driving force behind creating a vibrant community-led development hub. His connection to this mission is deeply personal, having found himself on the streets as a child himself. Charles channels that experience into creating better opportunities for other young people and for women in his community. So take it away, Charles.
Thank you so much, Jo, and thank you everyone for this opportunity. It's incredible to be here with you all. And I'd like to share a little bit about myself and the Simba's work. So I'm Charles Godfrey, an Executive Director for Simba's Footprints, an organization that is based in Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, with the mission to improve livelihoods through education and empowerment initiatives around children and women. And just to share a little bit about myself, I lived on the street and later on resided in a children's home. And I've always been wondering if it wasn't like the Good Samaritan who saw potential in me and invested in my education, I'd probably end up living on the street. And so that whole experience highly ignited my passions toward serving the communities. Statistically, Tanzania has around 27 million people who lives under the poverty, and that constitutes around 43 of the entire population. And so there are so many challenges around poverty that are linked to poverty, and that include high rate of youth unemployment, gender injustice, and poor quality of education. So for Simbas, we thought there's no single silver bullet to tackle this challenge around poverty. So we applied an integrated approach that fosters education, empowerment, and more of community engagement interventions. So for our education-based programs, we do have school outreach programs. We work with public schools, 15 public schools now, to enhance the quality of education. We also run after-school programs at Simbas that are extracurricular activities that the kids are missing in the public schools. And we also, for the empowerment initiatives, we have like tailoring projects around the women. We have agriculture and livestock for the youths. And we also try to, integrate them with like economic opportunities and build their financial resilience. But also as a locally led organization, we do also run a lot of like community platforms, capacitate local leaders to amplify the voices of women and children. And we feel great with the community buy-in we have around this community in Kilimanjaro. So far, we've been able to like reach to around like 2,000 children across all our programs. We also like have reached out to around 300 women across our empowerment initiatives, and 76 out of them now have their business like in place. Just for last year, we had 20 women integrated in their like new business, and that was incredible. This year, we're very happy for some of our after-school programs. We have the solid music bands, the youths play gigs around, and that's incredible. And there is also like an incredible achievement around soccer. Our girls soccer team that was established to break the barriers and equip the girls with like the rights to play. They have become the champions of the region twice in a row, and they will be representing the Kilimanjaro region in like the big tournament soon this month. So that's also, it's incredible to see like all this impact and see how they become the ambassador for like the amazing work that the Simba Footprint is doing. And yeah, so I think we're very happy to be like able to co-create a solution with the local community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. Beautiful presentation. And some of you, actually, I know that some of you have heard about this wonderful women's soccer team that was started by Charles and his team in 2019, and are now like just breaking barriers and showing what women can do in Charles's community. Because I know because some of you have actually contributed to help these girls get to this tournament later this month. So yeah, some of the people who've contributed, Charles, are actually on the call. So I'm happy they got to hear directly from you about these wonderful women and this wonderful initiative. So huge thanks to everyone who has supported that. Charles has lots of initiatives going on to support kids. So he's still looking for funding to support the girls to get to their tournament. He's also building some digital literacy hubs, which is amazing. I'm actually scheming in the background to get Charles and patients together to do some cross-learning for this kind of these wonderful initiatives. And so they're also looking for funding towards a van for transport in the community. Did I just make that up, Charles? Is that right? That's right, isn't it? Suddenly my brain's like...
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent.
So
we have time for a quick question for Charles, and then we're just going to do some little wrappy-uppy stuff before we move on to some informal chats for anyone who's able to stay on the line. So has anyone got any questions for Charles? Just in awe of his wonderful work. I love it. I love it. Okay, well, do stay on if you are feeling shy or would like to have a chat with Charles later. Sorry, I haven't kept him on the chat. Oh, lovely positive things for the beautiful girls. Let's go. And will we meet patients on this trip? Yes, you will. You sure will meet patients. Okay. Okay, so we will be wrapping up. We will be wrapping up now for those of you who have to go. So thank you so much for spending this time with us. It's been so beautiful to connect across borders and to celebrate these amazing grassroots leaders together. Thank you all for being here, but most of all, thank you so much to Patience, Charles, Florence and Grace for being here today, for sharing your work, but most importantly for doing this wonderful work and giving us the opportunity to support you to create such phenomenal, transformative change. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for your time today, guys. That was amazing. Great work you're all doing. It's really inspirational.
Thank you, Steve. And we'll have to change the timings for the calls because I would love to have a little tiki tour around Melbourne with you there, but it's a little bit too dark to see what's going on. See some of the old haunts.
I've got my learner driver here, so it was
Oh,
good. I could give it more
amazing.
attention
Well
I
done.
thought
So we've got some more
good.
women's empowerment going on, have we?
We have.
One of your daughters in the car. Well, you're a pretty cool dad. I remember my parents being a lot more stressed than you are right now.
It's all in balance. There's two sides of the coin.
Very good.
In the house.
I'd like to thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
to join.
Leah. Thank you.
It's so inspiring.
Love to see everybody.
And work for this, you know, for all your different projects. It's totally humbling and inspiring from somebody who leads a pretty comfortable life here in New Zealand. So thank you. I'm looking forward to meeting you very much.
Oh, beautiful words. Thank you so much, Fiona.
Indeed.
Thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to meeting you all soon as well. Hi, Sarah. Will you guys be coming as well?